Welcome back to Building West Michigan. I'm your host, Kimon Kotos, and I'm here with Jose Infante of Independent Bank. And Jose, we were exploring some of the issues in terms of why Muskegon is an attractive place to do business and some of the trends that we've been seeing changing here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the issues related to home mortgages and the opportunities that are there for people to really, it's a buyer's market.
Oh, it's a buyer's market. Right now, first-time buyers or people who are moving to a new home, you just could not find a better time. I cannot imagine rates have ever been lower than this. I said that 10 years ago, and I couldn't believe it'd be lower than this. But rates are below 5%. It's just for 30 years. You can think about that. So it's just a great opportunity. There's also some great programs out there. I mean, the government has some first-time homebuyer programs are available. There are some very, very attractive means to getting into that first home. Or again, moving up. The challenge, of course, is values of properties are depressed. So, this is a great market to buy a great home with a great rate, and we usually buy more than you could afford earlier. It's a bad market if you've got to sell, sadly. And that piece is a crucial part of making the economy in Michigan turn around. When those values start settling down, and they're almost there, I think. So people know exactly what values are there for homes. That'll help.
So it's almost a new ground floor for people to get started to look at starting their families and making the next 20 years or more.
Again, I mean, if you're buying today, you're going to be getting a great rate, great terms, but you're going to be buying a value of a home that's only going to probably go up. Okay, right. That's the thing. People who bought 3 or 4 years ago at the height of those prices, have suffered because of that. Actually, all of us have suffered if you bought 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, Jose, with regards to home mortgages, what are you doing as an institution to import? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, Jose, with regards to home mortgages, what are you doing working with your clients to help them understand their own financial literacy and how to be prepared for some of the risks and challenges at hand?
It's a very important question, I think. We have a group of very dedicated people like Jim Kohler, Bruce May, who spend a lot of time with their customers to make sure that they end up in the right product. Lots of products out there, lots of incentives to be able to get into that first, especially first-time home buyers. But it's crucial that people like Jim Kohler sit down with you, walk you through it, learn a lot about you and what you want to do and where you're going. I mean, if you're going to be in the house, if you're saying, I might get transferred, it's a good chance my company's going to transfer me in a few years. Well, that's a different mindset than someone going, I'm going to be here a long, long time. My goals are to live here. There's different nuances about where you help those people with. But you got to understand the customer first. And that's no different than any other business. Mm-hmm. You understand the customer, spend some time with them, make sure we know where they're going, what their needs are, and then we can help them make sure that we put the right product for them. And make sure they understand the lay of the land, what's happening. I mean, talk about, there's still balloon loans, there's still, fixed rates here and there. There's a lot of things that, depending on the client, you've got to know which one to be an advocate for them. And so that's important.
Well, I imagine you deal with even some issues related to estate planning, or some people are maybe, like you said, moving over here because they used to have been a job somewhere else and they decided to come and settle here in West Michigan. Some people are starting a family. Some people are looking at, I'd like to maybe build a house, something that I can really plan on being here. With the customers, like you mentioned, the demand may change, so you need to know who they are.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised how many people are moving back. People who work somewhere else and kind of semi-retire back here. Back to those people who, retire and become consultants. You can live almost anywhere, but people pick to live here. It's a great place to live. And so we see that. We see people coming home almost to retire. They might have a place somewhere else, but this is what they pick to be, be their main home. And those people have different needs. Condos sales are actually doing fairly well. But they're for one type of customer.
Right.
They're not for everybody. And, people who want to live in downtown are different than people who want to live in Norton Shores. And so for us, we sit down and try to make sure the product fits what their needs are, and their lifestyles too.
Well, and you mentioned a couple of people who work here. Having a good team makes a difference
Oh.
for you as a.
I'm truthfully, I'm very, very thrilled to be working with the team I have. I mean, I mentioned Jessica Souls earlier. Jessica and I had worked previously in another organization, so we kind of came together. And she brings a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of knowledge to be able to take care of her customers. Because her retail customers, people who walk in the door in this place or the other branch on Harvey Street, are really the bread and butter of any organization. And everybody else's money is green too. Okay, so there's no difference there. It's the service that you provide them, and so it's crucial. I mean, she's got a great team. Kellen Thompson is wonderful. She's her assistant at both locations, Jim Kohler, who works out of this office here in the mortgage. Bruce May. We actually have 7 mortgage lenders in our other location. Here in this office, we have commercial lenders. We have Melissa Evans, who's worked here a long time, Mark Hoffmeyer, Chris Castleman. These are all local people who work here, who've worked in Muskegon for a long, long time. So we have a very good team, but the word team, that's exactly it. I'm just lucky to be working with these people. I always say that. It makes coming to work fun. And you know what, truthfully, no matter what you do in life, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it anymore. And I've been having fun for a long time in Muskegon.
Well, this brings us to another subject. You said you've lived here in Muskegon for 22 years. Tell us a little bit about your background,
Sure.
where you came from, where you grew up, and how you developed into the banking business.
I was born in Cuba. I came here in '61. I was 9 years old. I was in Cuba, as some of the older clients of yours will remember, during the Bay of Pigs invasion. So I remember that. I remember the show trials on black and white TV in Cuba. Was already in Miami by the time the missile crisis occurred, back in '62. And they moved to Grand Rapids. My parents and my family moved to Grand Rapids. I grew up in Grand Rapids, and I graduated from Western. I have a degree. Surprisingly enough, I have a history degree, and worked in banks part-time my whole life and sort of stayed with it. So I've worked for Old Kent originally in Grand Rapids. Came here to work for the old First Michigan Bank holding company, Lumberman's Bank. Became president of that bank. Became a regional president for Huntington, and then decided to start Community Shores Bank. I did an IPO and took that company public, and did that for a little over 8 years. And then about 4 years ago, decided I want to change what I wanted to do, and came to work for an independent bank to build them the west side of the state.
Well,
And
that's a big challenge.
that's what I'm doing, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that.
Well, and it would be remiss not to mention your wife and your family.
Sure, you bet. I'm sorry. They'll kill me if I don't say that. My wife and I have been married, this will be 39 years. My daughter lives here. I have a son who's an attorney in Grand Rapids who just got married. Then I have my oldest son who just left Lansing, and after living there all through after college, and now moved to Philadelphia. And sadly, he took my 2 grandkids with him and his wife. So it's a little bit of a trek, but Philly is sort of the new destination for us every so often to go see our grandkids.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of your personal interests and things you do when you're not banking. Some of the things that have do you like jazz, or you have some personal things you do?
My wife tells me I don't have enough hobbies. I don't know how she can say that. She says because I serve on so many committees. But part of that, I enjoy the communication that I have with people. I love being involved. Personal. I love to. I'm a huge sports fan. So of course, like anybody else, I'm a big football fan, big baseball fan. So I watch lots of sports, but most of my enjoyment really these days really are grandkids, and like anybody else, there's nothing better than sitting around reading a good book once in a while. You need to get away.
Well, I think it's important, and you've had a chance to travel and be involved in other things in the community. What are some of the things that delight you in terms of seeing how Muskegon is changing?
Well, I'll give you an example. I serve on the West Michigan Osteopathic Foundation. I've served on that foundation, 15 years maybe. And it's a foundation that is mainly, and it's a foundation that has a little bit of money, and it's mainly for osteopathic health care. And part of the deal is make more and more DOs come to Muskegon. Well, we have a great program. We have this program which is called OSTA Champs. I serve on that committee. I love that committee. And what we do is we pick 15 to 18 high school students in Muskegon, based on their grade point average, especially in the sciences, but we mainly pick disadvantaged kids who, we've seen kids whose parents make $5,000 a year, or kids who are going to schools that are in need. And so we provide dollars for these kids to spend 2 weeks at Michigan State in this sort of it's a summer program. And we're thrilled that we're actually getting some of those kids who are now in medical school and who want to come back to Muskegon to practice. That's how you build we talked about the infrastructure of a community. Right. That's one of the things I'm thrilled about being able to help with. It's a great program. We actually have had our first student come back.
Do you think we're going to see more opportunities for kids to get internships and get some hands-on walk-along jobs from professionals so that they learn firsthand what to do?
I tell you, job shadowing, which I think is one of the most wonderful things, is being done out there more than we think is being done. I know all my children job shadowed in high school to figure out what they wanted to do. My oldest son thought he wanted to be a doctor. That's not really what he wanted to do after spending a few weeks following a couple of docs around and the challenges that brings. And so, he found out early that's not what he wanted to do. The other son did something similar to that, and he ends up being a lawyer, and that's exactly what he wanted to do. So I think those are really important. I think communities need to be giving back by doing that kind of thing, and there's nothing better. We offer it all the time. We offer always, we professionals offer that. I just don't think people know enough. Sometimes people just aren't willing to ask. The way my son did it, he's just, he had a friend who was a doctor, and he said, can I follow you for a couple of weeks in the summer? And they said, sure, of course you can. So,
well, it's great. And I want to invite you to come in and meet Jose Infante here at Independent Bank. And another thing, for those of you who may not know, you have a media history as well. Could you remind everybody where they may have seen you before?
Yeah, sometimes it's scary because people go, I know you from somewhere. For about 4 years, I used to be on WZZM. It was the show just before Good Morning America. I had a lot of different names, but Catherine Behrens and in fact, I think I went through 4 anchors with her. And I would be up, and I do 5 minutes is a long time on TV, especially live, and we used to do a thing called Your Money. And so we talked about things like this, and it was fun. Did enjoy doing that.
Well, Jose, it's been a treat to talk to you.
Enjoy very much. Thank you.
Very
Appreciate
much.
you coming in.
And take some time to consider Independent Bank and come on by. And where are you located here in Harvard?
We're at 3251 Henry Street. We're right next door to Russ's, of course, across the street from Myers, and it's actually in front of Walmart. And
Harvey Street.
And we have a Harvey Street office. Our Harvey Street office is just south of the mall, on the west side of the street.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
And thank you for joining us.